Hello Doctor Who fans and welcome to another video. As you can see, I finally have the Sensorites set. So as you can see, from right to left we have the Elder Sensorite. In the middle we got the first Doctor figure. And then on the left we have a Warrior Sensorite figure. So starting off with the first Doctor, I'll give you a bit of a close-up. This is basically the first Doctor from the 13 Doctor set, which was supposed to be based off the Wet Planet. So basically the main difference between this and that figure is the waistcoat. So basically it's the exact same figure except for the waistcoat. So they did try to change the colours, but they sort of got the colours slightly wrong. So we sort of ended up with a not 100% accurate figure from the Sensorites. So again, I do like the detail. As you can see here, you're probably wondering, oh, why are the eyes look a bit red? Well, to be fair, William Hartnell was the age that he was, so obviously you sometimes get a bit of red around your eyes. So technically you might look at that as a negative, but sort of look at it as a positive. They've added extra detail, so it's not just sort of a bland figure with just eyes. It's sort of they try to add in as much detail as possible. And to be fair, I quite like that. Even though the figure's not 100% accurate, the detail is there. And I do love, as you can see, with all the creases in the coat as well, and all the different shades of his hair. So it's sort of the white and the greys. So you can distinguish it more, and you can tell it's not like a rough kind of paint. They've actually sort of added the detail quite well to distinguish all the different hair patterns, which I do quite like, and I like that sort of added thought and interest in it. And the one thing I do like is the trousers, because I always like how they do the really nice detail. So that's always one thing I'm keen on. It's all about the detail. Sometimes I'm sort of happy to give the accuracy a miss, as long as the detail is sort of still there. So I'll just do one of the Sensorite figures. They are pretty much the same, and I'm sure you were thinking, this looks like the Mariner's figure a bit. Well, technically you were right. The body is that of the Mariner's figure. So the only difference is the feet, which are circular and not flippers, and obviously the head. But pretty much the body is exactly the same. But I suppose you must remember B&M is still a budget chain, and so are going to try and reduce costs as much as they are. And so to be fair, to get two distinguished, completely different figures in the same wave is still quite good. And considering they've done that added detail to get more figures out of it, it's why we can actually see these kind of figures. You probably noticed that with the 5 Doctors and the Earthshock set. Basically, we've got 2 androids and the Rastan Warrior robots. That's 3 or 6 figures. Basically, it's the same mould. The difference is that the Rastan robot is silver and not black, whilst obviously there are 2 black robots in the Earthshock set. That is basically the main difference. So it's sort of the way of trying to get as many figures from the same mould as possible. That's why it's sort of trying to keep costs under £20. Because as you probably remember originally, the prices of the Doctor Who sets used to be $16.99. And obviously with inflation, prices go up. So to still get it at £20, I still think it's quite good. They are trying to make the effort as much as possible. That's why sometimes character options do their online exclusives, because they can go further with their budget and know they can sell them out and not actually rely on people going in that are on a budget. Anyway, back to the figure. As you can see here, I do love the detail on the face. It is just absolutely amazing. It's not rough, it's not out of sort. I love how smooth it is. I think they've actually got this one pretty much spot on. You know, I can't really fault the head sculpt at all. I like how they've got nice rough detail on the side. Even behind as well, they've actually decided to keep on going with all the detail. It is one of the nicest for sure. And so, interestingly as well, the reason they've done the sash in the double sash is they've got more than one Sensorite variant technically in the episode. So this is the first Elder figure, and so if you're into customs, then basically you'd know that if you just cut off this sash in sort of half, so you just get one sash going across and not the X, then you end up with the second Elder figure. So you sort of get 2 variants, so to speak, if you do customs. And so you end up with like 3 Sensorite figures rather than just the 2 if you're into that kind of thing. So you sort of do get more out of it to an extent. So there's obviously very little variation, but that's why they've also made it loose as well. So you can actually do the custom if you wanted to, which I actually quite like. They're actually thinking of people that custom figures as well. So why have just 2 Sensorite figures where you could easily just chop and change a bit and end up with as many variations as possible. And again, one thing I do love is the accessories that come with it. Again, I love the detail on this. They're not done it with like as a solid form. They've actually decided to add that detail as well to make it as detailed as possible, not try and do something solid. They've actually decided to do the clear bit in the middle so it crosses over and not try and do something a bit cheap as such. But overall, with these figures, I do love them. I like the detail. I like how they've added on this on the side, the sense. As you can see here with the warrior figure, the 3 stripes do represent the warrior Sensorite, and so they've added that as well. So it's 2 different as well. So they're trying to differentiate them as much as possible. I know you're not going to be absolutely perfect, but to get the details as such where you can get more out of the figures, you can easily just change the amount of stripes there are, you can change the sash. So they're sort of thinking ahead, and technically it works in their favour, because if you know you can actually make good customs, then you know that you're going to be able to sell more sets. And technically that's the important thing, and that's why they keep the range going, sort of to get as much out of the set as possible for people to buy doubles. A bit like army building. So overall, it's certainly a recommended set. Whether or not it's as good as the Mariner set, technically no, only for the fact that we had an all-new Ian Chesterton figure that came in that set. Whilst here we sort of have a re-release of the First Doctor. Maybe it would have been nice to have a companion in this set as well, so we would have got 2 enemy companion sets rather than sort of this setup. Though I understand that they've got to keep the budget low, so take that into account. It's not so bad, and at least whoever missed out on this figure before will be able to have the opportunity to get it again. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my thoughts on the Sensorites. It's a black and white story, and I'll certainly recommend it. It has a lot of nice interest to it. And yeah, it is technically it's one of my favourite 60s stories as well, and also supposed to have one of the most eerie introductions to a Doctor Who enemy, well, known as such. So I'll certainly give it a watch if you've not already watched it. Yeah, let's keep following the Who merchandise page, and good luck finding the next wave of figures, which should be, if all going well, out in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day.